Hello, everyone. We're discussing a very, very special album today, Christmas in the Heart by Bob Dylan. And I cannot discuss this without a resident Bob Dylan expert. Dixon, how are you?
It's good to be back as the resident Bob Dylan expert. Speaking of Bob Dylan, before we get into everything else, you sent me a pretty funny text about Timothy Chalamet taking on Dylan's persona, being the ultimate troll, possibly.
Yeah, the post that was Timothy Chalamet. He was at the debut or the red carpet debut of
Complete Unknown, something like that.
Yes, Complete Unknown.
Yeah,
and Timothy, who plays Bob Dylan in the movie, shows up with the Beyblade. He's just holding a Beyblade, posing with it, just for no reason. There's no apparent reason for it. And that's when I sent you the text. I'm like, oh, I guess he's still in character, because it sounds like something Bob Dylan would do. Just show up to some red carpet event with just holding some random thing for no reason.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Did you was Bob Dylan at the premiere?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Do we know that?
I'm not sure. We don't have word on that, but I tell you what, we're definitely gonna talk about that movie, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it comes out Christmas Day, and I'm really, really excited for it. I'm excited to see. I mean, Timothy I feel like he looks just like him, and from what I can tell in the trailers, he's singing the Dylan song. It's not dubbed over.
Oh, wow.
And it sounds pretty, I mean, as close as you can get to being like a Bob Dylan impersonator, I feel like. So I'm excited for that.
That's pretty neat. I always wonder how much influence Bob Dylan had in making the movie. I don't know anything. I feel like I still don't really understand Bob Dylan all that much. You probably, I'm sure you know him way more than I do, but
it's tough.
It is. It definitely is tough. But
he's kind of an enigma.
Yes, but I love what he does. I really do. I've learned to love it from what you showed me. And by the way, I'll put a card up here for everyone that hasn't seen it, but we did a 4-part episode covering 4 parts covering Bob Dylan, all the eras. And it was a wonderful breakdown by Dixon. I highly recommend it.
You know, that was a lot of fun. And I think that, I've been a Bob Dylan fan for most of my short life. And I really don't know if we talked about Christmas in the Heart during those episodes, but this came on your radar relatively recently when you and I actually we were collaborating in person on the way to a Christmas event, and this happened to come up in some sort of shuffle or Spotify. The single Must Be Santa, right? And yes. And I think what probably got your ears moving was the fact that this is the most groaned out version. This is kind of a wailing, kind of a, I don't know what you could describe it as. But yeah, so you kind of got familiar with at least that song, and then you kind of said, hey, is this an album? And sure enough, a full treasury of Bob Dylan Christmas songs exists from this album.
I never knew that we were blessed with this entire album of things. But yeah, I was listening to Must Be Santa, and I'm like, wow, this is a really fun song. I'm like, I was with my wife at the time when I was coming to see you, and I told her, I said, I think this is actually my favorite Christmas song. I'm like, it's one of those songs that I've heard, but I never knew who sang it. I never knew the name of it. Right. But obviously Must Be Santa. But then I look at the little infotainment screen and I said, this is Bob Dylan? I had no idea.
The Bob Dylan cover of Must Be Santa is just the thing you needed to put you in the holiday spirit.
Exactly. When I think of Christmas, I think of Bob Dylan. That's but yeah.
So that's so funny you say it, because, with the exception of the Gene Autry Christmas songs, majority of Christmas songs, maybe not the majority, but a good number of the popular Christmas songs that we hear on the radio in rotation year after year are written by Jewish men, right? So Bob Dylan, a Jewish guy, now it was born again in the 70s, and to this date it's still that the line "he emerged to find Jesus" is still in his tour intro, what they play before his concerts. And so evidently he has a connection to Christmas, and he said that when he was growing up as a child he always had a connection to Christmas. But just from Wikipedia, just real quick, Christmas in the Heart is the 34th studio album and first Christmas album by American singer-songwriter Bob Dylan, released on October 13th, 2009 by Columbia Records. So what's nice about this is all Dylan's royalties from the sale of this album benefit the charities Feeding America in the USA, Crisis in the UK, and the World Food Program forever. It's in perpetuity.
Oh, wow.
What's kind of cool about this is the album opened at number 1 on the Billboard Holiday Album Chart, number 5 on the Folk Album Chart, number 10 on the Rock Album Chart, and number 23 on the overall album charts. And usually when you have a Christmas album, it's kind of like the kiss of death. Like I think Eric Clapton had a Christmas album a few years ago, and Eric Clapton hates his catalog. He doesn't want to play his songs anymore. Yep. He has some sort of arthritis. There's this sort of stigma against the Christmas album, and I don't think Bob Dylan really cares. I think he's like, let's do a Christmas album.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I think you're absolutely right. I was looking into this because after I listened to it, I formed my opinions on it, and I like to look to see what other people said about it. And a lot of people were confused as to why this even came out. But in my mind, I said, I was like, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
it's exactly. I mean, Bob Dylan he does what he wants. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't he have a Christmas album?
Why wouldn't he? Exactly. And so late in his career too, which is hilarious.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's almost comical. But yeah, you're right. It's almost like the kiss of death. It's like, okay, well, for other artists, it's like, well,
for sure,
kind of washed up. I'm like, well, okay, Christmas music. I could sing that. You just got to do the same thing over and over. It's so commercialized now. They come out with something, you're going to hear it on repeat on the radio all the time in a store or whatever. But I think that was probably the opposite for Bob Dylan. I don't think he was struggling at all. He just like, oh yeah, let's do a Christmas album.
Yeah, I think that's actually, that whole concept is actually like fictionalized in the movie. I think it's The Holiday. It's a British thing with Professor Snape is in it, and the woman from You Got Mail, or not You Got Mail, Parent Trap. And I think there's a moment in there where there's a rock star that is, I guess, trying to reinvigorate his career, and he does a pop song with Christmas themed lyrics on it. And I think that's kind of what we're saying here too.
Oh yeah, what movie was that?
I think it's The Holiday.
I've seen,
pretty sure
that like just sparked something like a deep memory that I have, because I never watch movies, but I remember that from whatever movie that was.
Formative memory.
Yeah, like that movie had a huge impact on my life.
Yeah, I think huge Jackman is in it, but so, and what's funny is that, as you pointed out to it, this is actually the first time this is actually hilarious and fits so appropriately, is that Bob Dylan, his production name when he produces an album is Jack Frost. So it just turns out on this album he produced it, and it's credited to Jack Frost. So being with the Christmas theme, it fits perfectly. But he's been using that name for years.
That is so funny to me, because I remember I brought that up to you, BTS, and you said, oh well, he uses that all the time. He's used that forever. And I'm like, what? Jack Frost? What is that? Why would you ever use that?
It's almost as if once again, as you point out all the time, another troll job by Bob Dylan.
I know.
Just start out with Jack Frost, make it unassuming, and then release a Christmas album and produce it under the name Jack Frost. That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's the long con, and then you trip up people like me, like, oh, you use Jack Frost just to, because he made a Christmas album. No, he used that forever. Oh, okay.
That's so funny. It's so funny. So I think do you want to just start with Must Be Santa?
Yeah, I
want to
think,
start there. There's so much to talk about.
There really is. Obviously, I said at the beginning, this is what sparked this whole thing. This is one of my, if not my favorite Christmas song. I love it.
I'm absolutely right. No, it's funny because I think I might have heard this song. It's been around for a minute, but I think I might have heard this song before. But in reality, I don't think I was aware of it until the Bob Dylan cover. I don't think it was a thing for me.
Same.
In reality, and I think the like I said, it's a Christmas party thing. The Bob Dylan production, the band involved. I think it's awesome.
It is,
and you would agree with this. I think the best part about the song is this was the single. This is what they released. Also, the video that accompanies this song, which is just hilarious.
It's so funny. It is. It's so perfect. It fits it perfectly. I love it.
So I think the highlight, if you would agree too, the highlight of the video is Bob Dylan was in the video. Yeah. And he's wearing some sort of wig that's covering half of his face with a hat on. And he's kind of walking around. He's kind of being mysterious, but he's kind of like part of the party that's happening, but he's sort of separated from it, right?
Yeah, like only kind.
Yeah.
He's like half there. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has that hat on, and there's the infamous scene I call it infamous. I don't know if it's even been documented at the end where he's just on the upper end of the house, and he just has his hands out, and he's kind of going, "Must be Santa, like he's conducting a choir,
Yes.
or really drawing attention to himself."
Mm-hmm.
And that is just so funny. But you were talking about how, once again, a troll job by Bob Dylan. I could just see him like sitting in the trailer saying like, I'm going to put this wig on.
Yeah, and then like
people like it.
Do you think the producer was like whoever was producing the video was like, "What's Bob? Why does Bob have that wig on it?" And they were just like, "I'll just let it go. Just shoot it. It's fine."
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. That's exactly seems how Bob Dylan would operate, especially given the circumstances here.
I love it. And it's so funny because it's like the wig. It's like, oh, maybe he was going for Santa, but he like forgot the beard and mustache combo. But it's like, well, no, it's like a long gray hair.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Right. No, that's I think the highlight of this, for sure. And I think Christmas Island is also hilarious.
Oh my God. Is that a cover too?
That's a cover. Yeah. So that's Christmas Island has been around for a minute, and
I thought so.
But just the idea that Bob Dylan is covering Christmas Island because I think there's like a certain like Jimmy Buffett, Christmas Island, covering Christmas Island,
right.
There's a certain kind of aesthetic or persona that goes along with Christmas Island, I think, maybe. And the fact that he has like this kind of these background singers, aloha, it's just hilarious. It's just spot on. But that really adds, I think, another dimension to a otherwise, maybe not stale, but a Christmas song you've heard over and over again.
Right. It definitely does. And I think the contrast of it, this kind of brings me into one of my points. Bob Dylan's voice is very unique. It's very unique. Right. I think in Must Be Santa, it fits very well. There's a couple other songs where it works. But the funny thing is how much it contrasts in Christmas Island when you have the choir of women just singing the aloha and all that in the background noise. And then you just have Bob Dylan come in with his voice, and it's so different. It contrasts so hard. With those voices. I think it's funny, but I still enjoy it a lot.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think that the fact that he does Adeste Fideles, Oh Come All Ye Faithful, very Bing Crosby-esque.
Yes.
And you got to give him credit. You just got to give him credit for I don't know if it's like being a good sport, because we had his issues. Maybe it was substance issues with the We Are the World, and they're trying to get a certain sort of tone and inflection. You just couldn't catch on to that. I think he does a nice job there.
He definitely does, because I feel like throughout this entire album, I feel like he's putting his heart into it.
I think you're right. I think you're
really do.
Right.
I really do. Right. I think he's really trying. And like I said, there's some songs where it just works so well. I love Christmas Blues and I love Christmas Song for his voice. I think it works. And one of the things I have to say too, and a lot of people said this, all they focus on is the voice. So a lot of naysayers, they're like, "Oh, his voice is terrible. It's so bad, blah blah blah." But
right.
Even looking past that, look at the production of this. In my opinion, this album is produced beautifully. It is. It has the warmth. It has the almost sometimes kind of retro undertones in like some of the vocals and the music, and it sounds like almost raw and like it was recorded in a studio back in like the 60s or something. Not saying that's low quality. I'm just saying you get that warmth through. It's almost like all analog or whatever. But regardless, it's produced really well. And then as I was thinking that, I'm like, oh wait, Bob Dylan produced this. I'm like, it's pretty. That's not an easy thing to do. It definitely isn't to take everything together, produce the music, write the music, and then make it all sound good. I think that's pretty impressive.
That's a really good point. Yeah, the vibe, the production, the sound is very much like you said. Kind of like I might be putting this on a vinyl and by the fireplace, that kind of thing. I think you're right. Yeah. I love all these songs, and we could probably go on and on. But I think my favorite is the first Noel, based purely on the opening line when he kind of goes, "The first Noel,"
Yes, yes, yes.
kind of bristling, graveling through it. Because once again, the contrast of the voice versus the
I know.
content. But once again, it's hilarious. It might not match, but I think it really does work. Like you said, based on the kind of the aesthetic or the soundscape that's occurring as a result.
Right. It all comes together. And
Hmm.
like you said, that's so funny you mentioned that. I'm just thinking back to that first. No, well, it's so good. And there's really nothing like this album. I only Bob Dylan could do this. Again, I'm an outsider to Bob Dylan. Um,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I like him. I wouldn't say like I'm a huge fan or anything though. But this
yeah,
is, in my opinion, I really enjoyed this album, and I think it's only something that Bob Dylan could have pulled off. And
yeah,
you have the high production value, but then you also have his voice. But I think it's almost like charming in a way. Even if you
yeah.
don't like it,
Right,
you have to appreciate it. Like you said, he's
for
putting his
sure,
heart into it.
for sure. And I think that's like, and not to go back to what you said, but you made a good point about the Christmas blues, and
Mhm.
I could see that being like a song, maybe not even like on a Christmas album, like with a little less tempo, being
Mhm.
on his sort of '90s to 2000s, like American roots blues type thing he's been doing lately. That to me fits right in with what he's been doing all along, like the last decade or so,
Oh yeah,
last 20 years,
definitely.
last 30 years. And I think probably works the best. The contrast probably works the best there. And it really feels like almost like a Bob Dylan song as opposed to being a Christmas cover.
Yeah.
And I think that you said a testament to the production value, even though it might be okay. Oh, it's a Christmas album. Who cares? Whatever. I really do believe he's not just going through the motions. Like
Right.
he's really putting in some effort and some heart into this.
Yeah.
Christmas in the heart, if you
I
will.
know. Yes, in the heart, if you will. It's
Yeah.
definitely in Bob Dylan's heart. But yeah, I feel like he put a lot of passion to it. It wasn't just like slapped together. We got to commercialize this. We got to make money. And he didn't even make any money on it.
Hmm.
He gave all of it away. And I think it's pretty cool that he did it into perpetuity. That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah,
Very, very cool.
I really enjoyed this album. There were some ratings on it that I was surprised. Some people didn't like it. But I think overall it got some pretty good reception. I think out in the ether, out in the internet, if you will. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this album, and I'm really glad that I found out that this even existed.
That's so funny. And, going along with our Must Be Santa fandom, in 2020, Rolling Stone placed Must Be Santa 24th on a list of Bob Dylan's best songs of the 21st
Wow,
century. We should actually, check out that list. That'd be interesting to see. And
definitely.
Stereo Gum. This is from Wikipedia. Ran an article to coincide with Dylan's 80th birthday on May 24th, 2021, in which 80 musicians were asked to name their favorite Dylan song. Girl bands Dara selected "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" from Christmas in the Heart, noting it is earnest yet fun, serious yet joyful. His voice makes sense, and he still means every word. And that's exactly what we kind of
Wow.
said, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome that she said that.
So as far, it's so funny because we did, and maybe we'll put up a card, as you will. And I don't know
Yeah.
if we'll have time to do it this year, but I know we counted down last year or the year before our favorite Christmas songs, and
Yes.
I know you had some really deep cuts on that list, if I recall correctly.
There were
There
some,
was,
yeah, there's some odd
yeah,
ones.
yeah, it's some really kind of off the radar stuff. And you always like say like, oh, the resident music expert. You're really underground with a
Wow.
lot of your stuff. You really are.
I really
You're
appreciate
always
that.
underground.
I really appreciate that. I feel I don't know. I find these songs and I just listen to them. I don't know. I don't even know how I come across them. I really
Yeah.
don't. But yeah, I guess I just go ahead.
Good. No good.
I was just gonna say. I guess I don't know. Just like what I like.
Yeah, well, I tell you, then that's what it's all about, isn't it? And we do like what we like.
We do.
There's a video from a few years ago, like a meme, and it's the guy from Friday Beers, and he's like, "What your friends how your friends expect you to react to your Spotify Wrapped.
Oh yes.
And he's like laughing. He's like you should know, a top 5% listener of Drake.
Yes. Oh
Like,
my God, it's so good.
I feel like that's you, but in an underground sense. but to go back to the where I start here, I don't think I even really considered any of Bob Dylan's Christmas
No.
songs to put on the list, and I think it might be worth a revisit or an addition going
No,
forward.
I completely agree with you, because that was
Yeah.
one of the things when we started talking about making an episode out of this. I thought back to, I think it was last year when we made our favorite Christmas songs, and
Yeah.
this didn't even cross my mind, and it's a shame because it was just one of those songs I forgot about. But when it comes on, it's like, oh my God, I love this song. I guess it just didn't come on that year. I just didn't hear it on the radio, and that was it. Because if I had heard it
Right.
a year ago, it 100% would have been at probably one or two.
No, yeah, I hear you. I'm with you on that. I think that's definitely for sure. So, going back to Christmas, so that the movie Complete Unknown is coming out Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
Found an pretty interesting article from the Hollywood Reporter, and the headline is Complete Unknown Team couldn't tell the difference between Timothy. How do you say his last name? You said it perfectly.
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet. Is that how you say it? Chalamet.
I believe so. I think Chalamet. Yeah, I think May is.
May. Okay. Complete Unknown Team couldn't tell the difference between Timothy Chalamet and Bob Dylan's recordings.
Wow,
And I think,
wow.
yes, and I think that's a testament to. This isn't sponsored, by the way. This isn't like a sponsored episode.
If you guys want to, you could,
we'd love
to have that. But no, we're not sponsored.
Like one of these, like if you read like a magazine and it's like, oh, the top 15 products for men for Christmas this year, and it's like a Best Buy ad in the middle of the periodical,
yep,
something like that. This isn't that, but I'm really excited. I'm even more excited to see what it looks like. I will say this though. I think this period of Bob Dylan's life, going from 61 to 65, has been talked about and documented and portrayed a lot. I think what we really are deserving of, and what we should really need, and maybe it's already out there, maybe there's been so many things about Dylan that maybe I missed it, is that sort of 80s, like that 70s resurgence to the 80s, into where he kind of tweaks his sound and gets into this American roots stuff, to see kind of, you're faced with the idea that, I think Bob Dylan is faced with the idea at that point is like, okay, am I a legacy act? I'm still active. I'm still doing my thing. I'm playing with Tom Petty. I'm in the Traveling Wilburys. I'm doing different things. Did what I do 20 years ago, 30 years ago even matter anymore when I was standing up for civil rights and standing up for people?
Wow.
And Bob Dylan won't tell you that. He won't tell you that he's writing a protest song. He won't tell you any of those things.
Right.
But in reality, they are protest songs. And I think that there needs to be some light shed on that period of his life, because I think you're faced with a few different factors that definitely impacted his creativity and maybe had some people write him off. But then he emerges as the tour intro goes, emerges to find Jesus and release some of the strongest material of his career in the late 90s. And but regardless, I'm excited to see the fictional, maybe not fictional, the what's the word? The acted out, the acted out story of the dramatized version.
Dramatized. That's the word you're looking for. Yeah,
dramatized
version of
of these events. So yeah, I'm excited to see them either way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would definitely be interesting to see that time. But regardless, I think it's still going to be pretty cool to see how Timothy Chalamet. I think what I'm excited to see, because you said this has been documented a lot of times. I kind of would like to see like the, I don't want to say rise and fall and like rise again of Bob Dylan, but I think that would definitely be interesting. But
for sure.
Regardless, I'm still excited to see this movie and talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to, like you said before, it's hard to break down Dylan's career. It's hard to be aware of everything. And I think there's been a few rises and falls. There's the motorcycle accident. He's a recluse in Woodstock, and then he was a folk, but then he was electric. I mean, people didn't like his electric stuff. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. Imagine going to see Bob Dylan as a teenager in the 60s, and he plugs in his electric guitar and you start booing him. Can you imagine that thought process?
I can't. Is the movie gonna cover that that
Yeah,
whole incident? Wow. Okay.
yeah. So
I'm
Dylan
excited
goes
for that.
electric. I forget the year. Boy, we're gonna get really assaulted in the
I know.
comments.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, actually, it was on this day.
Yeah, but he goes electric. I mean, the footage of him going electric at Newport Folk is still in black and white. That was in black and white at that
Right.
time. So it's early. I wouldn't say it's early, but it's more recent than you think, as far as his from 61, his first album, to that point. And he still kind of has that same kind of look he's had in the early days, with the kind of like the hair kind of going up, and that sort of brooding look, and everything else. So it has to be a part of it, because go up to 65, he's definitely electric in 65, definitely focusing more on that in 66.
Right.
So that's got to be covered. And there's Pete Seeger is also involved, in Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie's influence is in this film. Edward Norton plays Pete Seeger, to my knowledge. Pete Seeger wrote "This Land Is Your Land." No, wait, no, that was Woody Guthrie. Oh, wait. Forget it. The comments are gonna murder us.
I know. Yeah, we're screwed.
Sorry,
guys. We have to maintain so much information. It's hard to just say it off the rip. It's not easy.
No, Pete Seeger wrote "We Shall Overcome." Woody Guthrie wrote "This Land Is Your Land." All right, they all work together.
There you go, guys. Together, put your pitchforks down, for God's sakes.
Yeah, take your fingers off the keyboard at this moment. Keep listening.
I'm downvoting.
So there's going to be that influence, and it looks like he's Pete Seeger at the very least isn't maybe a mentor, but at the very least a pair of listening ears, as Dylan is touring with some new material and kind of evolving his sound. So that'd be interesting to see for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, and we're definitely going to get into it. Now next week, Dixon, I think we're gonna bust out something that people didn't expect.
Man. I would say yes, that is correct. They probably did not expect what we're about to do to come from us, but if anything, it's going to add some credence to our resume, and it's going to say that, hey, we're equal opportunity.
That's right.
We like what we like, as you said so poignantly before. You like what you like. We like what we like, and it doesn't matter who it comes from. Little hint.
Mm-hmm. Little hint for you guys.
But it's going to be discussed, is the bottom line.
Yes. I'm really looking forward to it.
Sure.
But Bob Dylan, thank you for this album.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Let us know what you guys think about it. Let us know your favorite song from the album. And hope you enjoyed this episode. And guys, we're coming up to Christmas, so enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy listening to us, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.